Okay, podcast. We are here on with you all, and it looks like I'm live everywhere. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 11th day of May. Folks, before I get started, I'll say this. I want to thank Kathy for contributing to the program. Thank you very much. And I'll thank you again when you pop up on my screen. I greatly appreciate that. And also, it just dawned on me as soon as I hit the live button, folks, that this is the 4-year anniversary. It was right around May the 11th of 2017 that I started Sports Scope on my phone using the Periscope app. That's how I use Sports Scope, That's where I came up with the idea, but I changed the name from I changed the C to a K. Sports Scope, Periscope, whatnot. But anyways, just wanted to get that out of the way. Got a huge show tonight. A possibility of Marv Albert, the great NBA commentator. He may retire. His contract is up. May not be if he don't retire, he may not be working with Chris Webber. Bob Baffert crying about the criticisms he's getting, claiming cancel culture. Give me a break. Tim Tebow hate out there. It's ridiculous. The Oakland A's are talking about relocating. I'm going to make a case for my hometown, Nashville, Tennessee, to pick up the Oakland A's. I've got a lot to say tonight, guys. Micah Parsons, the often criticized Dallas Cowboy pick. You won't believe the odds of him getting Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, came out. That was very interesting. But first, Davante Adams. Wide receiver, superstar, Green Bay Packers. He was on He was on the Colin Cowherd show yesterday on Monday, and he said that as soon as Colin brought up the fact that Rodgers may be traded, he said, well, I'm not sure. We'll have to bring that up and talk about that. I'm not sure I'm committed. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, I'm not sure I'm committed to the Green Bay Packers long term. So I looked that up, folks, and I looked at his contract. Davante Adams will be 30 years old later on this year. He's in a contract year, and he's only got a $3 million dead cap. And we know, if you don't know, I'm reminding everybody that June the 1st, after June the 1st, they can trade Rodgers or let him go. And save about $20-something million. Okay? Davante Adams is in a contract year. If they release Davante or trade Davante Adams, his dead cap is $3. They owe him $16 million. They would save $13 million on him. They would save $25 million on Aaron Rodgers. Now, since the last time I'll talk to you, Pickles, that the Denver Broncos were the favorite. Now they're the prohibitive favorite to get Aaron Rodgers. And, not to sound like a broken record, but I got to keep hitting the same drum beat until it sinks in. I like to hit my points home. They say this in politics. And I was telling some friends of mine this years ago, is when you stay on message, you make your point. Don't go off and do everything. You got to stay on your basic points. Pop, 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 pop. Be consistent. Let the other person freelance and change and go with the wind blows. Take the emotion out. Take the emotion out of the game, right? Take the emotion out and think about this from a long view standpoint with Rodgers and this Green Bay Packer team. He's 38 years old. Will be 38 years old. They've already offered him up to 40 plus $5 million. That leaked out last week from The Athletic. which make him higher paid quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. He's already a $37 million cap hit and $182 million salary cap. Keep all that in mind. He does not respect Matt LaFleur. He does not like this general manager. He's got enough money to walk away yesterday, Pickles. He could have walked away yesterday. Don't give me all this, he don't want to retire. This guy's got a list of jobs lined up for him. He's a superstar. Then you've got Davante Adams there. You've got about 3 rock-solid years there. He's going to command $18 to $22 million because he's been the best receiver in football. Probably $22 to $23 million. That's Julio Jones' range. Julio Jones is 32 years old, Pickles. He played 9 games last year. I love Davante Adams in fantasy football just as much as you all do. I play for $1 million tournaments. But I take that out of it, okay? And I say to myself, I've already mentioned you could probably get the Broncos, who've got a new general manager. They've got a coach on the hot seat, and they got an executive there that loves to win and win now, John Elway, okay? And for John Elway to pull in Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, Denver, this guy cannot buy a beer in town already. He's even that much more of a big shot. So if I'm Gudenholz, whatever his name is, the general manager of Green Bay, I'll tell you what, we'll give you Aaron and Davante Adams since he's in a contract year. You give us those 6 picks we talked about last week, 2021 or 2022, 23, and 24, first and second round picks. We want Patrick Surtain, who's a rookie on a rookie contract, and we want Jerry Jeudy. They bite back. Jerry Jeudy's on a second-year contract. You got to look at it from their perspective because you're going to save money. You got guys on rookie contracts versus guys who want massive contracts, okay? And they bite back and say, nah, we'll give you one or the other. I'll say, okay, well, give me Pat Surtain then. And we'll pair him with Jar Alexander. And we'll build this offensive lineup. You can find wide receivers in the draft, folks. Look who was drafted this year. Look who was drafted last year. Look at what round Davante Adams, Pickles, was drafted in, the second round. Okay? Put all that into perspective. You put all that into perspective, and then you got this. And people say, well, what if Jordan Love can't play? What if Jordan Love can't play? Well, that means you're going to have a potential top 5 to top 10 pick in 2022, and then you're going to get the 28th to 32nd pick from Denver, and then you're getting your top 5 to top 10 in the second round, and then the same for the second round for Denver. You see what I'm saying? This is a frugal organization. They don't have an owner. Okay? The fans will understand. The fans are very educated. Like I told you guys last Thursday, that I talked to a local in Green Bay, a Milwaukee native who's got friends up there in the Green Bay area, and a lot of them, they're tired of Aaron's crap. You know, he basically got that coach fired. You know, see it now. If you do it now, you won't give that year away, Pickles. You get ahead of the curve. You always want, and this is a Bill Belichick, do a year early rather than the year late. You know, again, 38-year-old quarterback, $38+ million. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl with that contract. And if you're a Denver fan, as competitive as Rodgers is, I could see him once he becomes a Bronco restructuring that contract so they could get in other players. So if they lost Jerry Jeudy, that would be no big deal. Even if they lost Tim Insertan, they could pick up some. Richard Sherman still out there, folks. Melvin Ingram's still out there. You can make them. Receivers are not going to be an issue. You've got great running back there out of North Carolina. He's going to be an excellent Devontae Williams or whatever. He's going to be an excellent play from day one. Of course, you got Melvin Gordon, Noah Fant, Hamilton, Sutton. Love Sutton. Remember, these guys have played with mediocre to bad quarterbacks. We don't know how good Cam Sutton is until he plays with a legendary quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers, folks. I'm just telling you, this is inedible. This is either going to happen this year or it's going to happen next year. I just got a feeling that they need to make this move and make it after this June date. I wouldn't wait to the season. I wouldn't let him miss all this camp. I wouldn't do that. If Love can't play, and if Love can play, you still got that draft. You still got enough to build onto it. You can buy skilled players, defensive players. They need another corner opposite of Jair Alexander. They need a pass rusher. They could maybe ask for Shelby Harris, but I wouldn't ask for those older guys. I would ask for players on rookie contracts. This is a frugal organization, okay? So little food for thought there. Okay, another big story. This did not seem to be a big deal to me, but I'm watching Twitter. I'm listening to sports talk around the country, and Pickles, the Tebow hate out there is so over the top for a guy that is now Urban Meyer saying we ain't even, if they sign him, we're talking rookie league minimum for a veteran off of a team with the highest, the most amount of salary cap in the entire NFL in the Jacksonville Jaguars, with a quarterback that is a prodigy that has got comparisons as high rating as an Andrew Luck, just below a John Elway. So there's no question. And Tim Tebow hasn't been living. They know that Tebow knows that he's not going to be the starting quarterback there. He knows that. Okay? And I know that he'll be 34 in August. And Tebow he hasn't been banged up. I get it. If you talk about tight end, you can find out in practice if he can block or not. I mean, you can cut the guy. You see what I'm saying? But his hometown is Jacksonville, folks. I don't know if some of you knew that. We all know that he played for Urban Meyer under Florida, while at Florida, and if he played under Urban Meyer while at Florida, what also isn't been said by other podcast and sports talk show hosts around the country is the NFL now runs a lot of college concepts. They're going to do a lot of what Clemson done at Florida because it's acceptable now in the NFL. It's very casual. 2 running backs, quarterback in the shotgun. You're going to have tight end moving around. He's going to be like a H-back. Remember, this guy can throw. You can add that into your repertoire throws. And I would imagine, and another thing, he played quarterback in the NFL. Didn't play long, but he played in the NFL. In other words, he could read defenses like a quarterback, Tim Tebow. So the transition's not going to be that bad. I don't care if he ran a 4.7. One of the best tight ends in league history didn't ran about a 4.7. His name was Jason Witten. And yeah, he can block. He can play football. But you've got your football purist out there. He's been out of the league for 7 years. This is different from baseball. Try hitting a curveball. Ask Michael Jordan about that. Football is timing, blocking, tackling. It's a lot easier to catch on to. You see what I'm saying? So he can read defenses. He played some special teams. I think it was called the Upback, Carlos, if you're here, with the Jets years ago. So I'm sure he's going to put on a good 15 to 20 pounds. And if he can't block, Urban Meyer say, look, it's nothing personal. I'm going to have to cut you, Tim. We brought you in. We'll have to cut you. It's no big deal. You got people talking about other taking up spots for other people and didn't do the work. He's cheating the league and all. That's what Colin was saying. And then I heard you see these the Colin Kaepernick crowd, which two situations had nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. Well, you let him in, and he ain't played since 2012. For one, he's not coming in. If he's as a quarterback, I'd be with the Colin Kaepernick crowd. I'd say this is crap. He's coming in as a tight end. And mind you, that Colin Kaepernick did have a tryout, but he wanted to remove the tryout location at the last minute so he can get more media there. So it was a show for him. So please, Colin Kaepernick crowd, you're following deaf ears. A lot of the main media is not even going that route. I noticed that the mainstream's not even doing that. But it is on Twitter, which is not surprising. But even for me, it was a little bit, right? But the hate for him is unbelievable. Low risk, Pickles, low reward. The player you cut him for, is that player going to make you a Super Bowl champion? You're probably cutting him for a third string fullback, a special teams player, a journeyman at that. So let's not let the world in because Tebow, whose coach has known this guy since high school, gives him a shot to come on and play. Sorry, it just kind of annoys the crap out of me. Low risk, high reward. Yeah, Cowherd is an idiot. He's trying to appease his LA base. He's trying to appease his Twitter followers, if you ask me. And he thinks that fans in Jacksonville are so uneducated that they are actually going to have the audacity after a Trevor Lawrence-like player, practically a can't miss, has a few bad games as a rookie, and he thinks the fans are going to ask chant Tebow to come in. Urban Meyer's not that stupid. He's got the highest winning percentage in college football history. Okay? He's coached great NFL players that are NFL players now. Ezekiel Elliott, Lattimore, Mike Thomas. He knows what a good football player is. Give me a break, Tebow haters. And I'm a Tennessee fan, and you guys are killing me. Thank you, Pickles. Okay. Speaking of haters, and like I said, folks, I'm a step ahead. This is the best sports show in America right here. Little bitty sports show, just self-made. Not to toot my own horn. My dad used to tell me if you don't toot your own horn, nobody will. Remember, I was telling everybody that I was just really much in love with the Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons picked by the Dallas Cowboys. Well, they already got too many linebackers as it is. They need corner. They need tackle. They need this. No. Your linebackers were a little bit slow, to say the least. They're not terrible. But the odds now came out from DraftKings Sportsbook, and I read this off of PFF.com, Pro Football Focus. Michael Parsons is the odds-on favorite to become Defensive Rookie of the Year. Little bitty me said Michael Parsons was a great player. He is the odds-on favorite to be Rookie of the Year. So we'll see how that plays out. But ironically, it was not one of those pass rushers. It was not Patrick Surtain. It was not Horn, the guy out of Joe Horn's son out of South Carolina, it was Micah Parsons. So I thought that was a pretty cool little tidbit there. And I think they're going to be on to something with Jalen Vander Esch and Smith. They're going to have more speed at that. This guy can rush the passer. It's a lot going on there. Okay. All righty then. So, Russell Westbrook, I'm rapid fire, bouncing around subject to subject, folks. Russell Westbrook passed Oscar Robertson last night, most triple-doubles in NBA history. The team with co-star Bradley Beal noted that they're still below 500, and they lost last night's game. You know, again, not to beat a dead horse with Westbrook in the NBA, but if I'm a good friend of Westbrook, if I'm Westbrook's agent, if I am, I think he's married. If I'm his wife, brother, whatever, I will say, listen, man, you've got too good a career to be another one of those type of players that goes down with these kind of stats and not have a ring. You know, yeah, J.C. Horn, thank you, Pickles. I just now seen that. But if I'm Westbrook, I don't know what his years left on his contract, but I get with management and I say, listen, trade me somewhere. I want to be a six man. And I could see a guy like this going to a contender team. He's just like 33. He's getting up there, 33, 34. He's on the other side of his prime. And I would love to see him being a six-man, the Knicks, something like that. Like Derrick Rose. You know, Derrick Rose is pretty close. They're pretty close to the same age. But remember, James Harden was a six-man. He was one of the great six-mans. It reminds me of John Smoltz, pitcher, MLB, Major League Baseball pitcher. He, lost a little bit off his fastball, and as far as his longevity, endings-wise, so he's moved to closer, and then he becomes one of the only closers to have 100-plus saves, and then he has over 200 wins. Westbrook should be a six-man somewhere. I would look at the contenders because he would be one of the best six men ever. If he can put that ego to a side, go to a contender. I don't care which way the league's going. Lakers, whatever. I don't think it'll work on Brooklyn. Say Philadelphia, for example. Could you imagine, folks, Russell Westbrook coming off the bench for the Philadelphia 76ers? And they may win anyways. But I think that's the role that he should look for going forward in his career. He's made all the money he can. $250, $300 million. Fashioned. This guy's set, man. He's from L.A., maybe the Clippers, right? Right? Maybe they do away with Rondo this year. Bring him off the bench. He's really good. He's an energy guy. He's a boom, bam, and play guy. And thank you, Kathy. And Kathy, I want to thank you again for contributing to the program. You are a godsend, my friend. I really, really appreciate that. So that's my thoughts on it. Other than that, they're like a 10 seed. They're in the play-in game. It's just the most empty calories ever. Like I mentioned on the Mac and Jack Sports Show, this guy, when he was the number one with Oklahoma City, when he was the number one with, or when he was leading Houston, Oklahoma City, first round exit first, and now look at him, play-in game. It'd be different if he was like the number two. If they were like the number 2 seed, like Phoenix is with Chris Paul. Staying in basketball, okay. New York Knicks. New York Knicks are currently a 4th seed. They're playing the Lakers tonight. I expect the Lakers to give them all they can. Their 6-game road trip. Great win over the Clippers the other day. Good comeback win. I think they're going to have their hands full again tonight. They are the number 1 defensive team in the NBA. And, I was thinking to myself, let's go back to 2019. Kevin Durant, that's all we heard when he was with Golden State that year. He's going to New York. He's going to New York. And then he tears his Achilles, and then the Knicks put out, well, we're not going to sign him. We're not worried about that Achilles. Then he said, no, I wasn't going to the Knicks anyways. But look at the difference. A good culture change with a coach can make, and just getting a handful of players to buy in, getting that right mix. 2 years ago, we thought the Knicks, last year, coming into this year, was a dumpster fire with tires in it, with lighter fluid in it, with funky gases in it. Just a god-awful place. Now look at them. They look like the old school Knicks that fought for you had to fight them for every point. I was watching them the other day, and it reminded me of the 90s Knicks, 92. But couldn't you folks imagine Kevin Durant being on the Knicks now? Kevin Durant can fit in anywhere. I don't care what people say. He's not as difficult as LeBron is. He's not backstabbing. I think he would have fit in really well with the Knicks. I think they would have been a title contender. If you didn't have to have Kyrie, just Durant or Randall with these young guys, I think they would have been a legit contender, possibly a finals contender or an Eastern Conference contender. Now, Tom Thibodeau is second behind only Phoenix's Monty Williams for Coach of the Year. By the way, Pickles, as far as odds are concerned, hold on, everybody. Let me change out my podcast here. All right, now we're back. All right, here we go. So I thought that was interesting stuff, to say the least. All righty then, going through my checklist, Westbrook. Wow, you know what, folks? I did not think that I was going to go through this so fast here. We got a really good story on the Oakland A's I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But sticking with the NBA, Marv Albert. Marv Albert will be 80 years old this year, Pickles. Speaking of the NBA, he is TNT, used to be with NBC Sports, called a lot of Knick games. Syracuse graduate. I think Kenny Albert. I think he has 2 sons, but I know one of them is Kenny Albert that also calls sports. They said he's got close to 6 decades, I want to say, of work. His contract's up this year. He says coming to an end pretty soon. He hasn't officially said that he's going to retire. But, he is – this guy, I felt like he is – you got to put him in the NBA Hall of Fame. He's part of that golden era there. And I know my dad used to say he called boxing fights. He's called NFL games. And he's not bad at it. But I think he really shined when he called the games in the 90s, particularly with Michael Jordan. The highest rated game in NBA history, 35 million, Game 6, Jazz and Chicago Bulls. He's a big part of that. Marv Albert, and there's not going to be any more Marv Alberts out there. TNT talking about maybe he may not renew his contract. They're also saying that, from what I've read through the New York Post, that Chris Webber, who did not show up to the bubble. He called out at the last minute. They're not going to renew him either. But it's no guarantee that Albert's going to retire. But I'll say this. The guy, when I talked about 90s basketball with friends, Knicks or whatever, and we'll bring up Marv Albert, everybody knows exactly who I'm talking about. It counts and the foul. So I hope he does it. I hope he does it till he can't do it anymore. But I tell you what, folks, he is one of my favorite all time here. Okay, let's see. Oh, going back to Dallas. Yeah. So speaking of Dallas Cowboys, I like Jerry Jones. I just don't like the fact that when he gets involved too much in the draft and wants to override the scouts, I think that's foolish. But going back to Jerry Jones here, at the Alvarez fight, boxing fight, Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders fought in AT&T Stadium in Dallas Saturday night, Pickles. 73,000 fans in attendance. It was the largest indoor boxing event since, yes, Pickles, yes, Leon Spinks and Muhammad Ali in 1978, 63,000 people. 73,000. Now, 80,000 is the captivity of the AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play at. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, a lot of people, and it was the biggest event that, indoor event crowd-wise since the pandemic began. No breakouts. Texas is fine. Nothing like that. But you know what the bigger thing I get out of this is, Pickles and Carlos, is that boxing's making a comeback, folks. I mean, I'm personally watching it more since February of last year, just before the pandemic really took off. I ordered the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. Fury wins the fight, and then he sings American Pie, Kathy, the 60s hit, and like a karaoke, except he doesn't have the lyrics. He memorizes it after he beats Deontay Wilder. I thought that was pretty cool. Then you've got these exhibition fights between Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, and now you've got this YouTuber that's going to fight Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather has got to be making 50 to 100 million. So between that, and like I said, this Alvarez guy, Canelo Alvarez, he lost a close decision to Mayweather years ago. I want to say it was in 2013. One of the cards had Alvarez winning. Canelo Alvarez. I would love to see him fight Mayweather. Mayweather, get out of retirement, play some real guy. I would love to see them. Yeah. And the 90s and the 2000s, Carlos, was great. I mean, you had the best heavyweights then. Pickles can maybe make an argument. Maybe the 80s might have been the absolute best because you had every division. Tyson was coming up, but then you had not Roy Jones Jr., Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Big Hitman Hearns died, or Marvelous Hagler. Marvin Hagler died just a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. I think maybe the 80s might have been the biggest decade. And then the 90s, you had big, heavyweight fights. But it seemed like the 80s, you had different fight divisions. So I think boxing's really making a comeback, folks. Very interesting little tidbit going through everything as I'm reading the okay. All right. Carlos, glad you're here. Big story out today on Sports Center, folks. The Oakland A's are actively seeking relocation. They're looking to get the Oakland A's are looking to relocate. I've had this conversation for 20 years with my dad. 20 plus years, Pickles. That Nashville, Tennessee is the closest American League park to Nashville is Chicago. I did this morning. 471 miles. That's the closest from, remember, St. Louis is the National League. Excuse me, folks. I'm going to have to take a drink of water. I've been having a little allergies because I got a lot to say here. St. Louis is National League, Atlanta's National League. Kansas City, 600-700 miles. Baltimore, 600-700 miles. So Nashville, Tennessee would be great. About 15 years ago, the Nationals, I may be off a year or two, but I think it's like 15 years ago. The Montreal Expos offered Tennessee, Nashville, to take the now Nationals here in Nashville, and we had a scary, fearful little weasel guy, Bill, I think his name was Purcell, and said, no, we can't afford it. But this guy spends all this money on this soccer. It wasn't a soccer. It was he was blowing money on one thing after another. I think it was rebuilding our minor league stadium for the Nashville Sounds. Okay. So fast forward till now. I looked this up. Nashville, Tennessee is the 24th most populated city in America, folks. There's 30 teams in the Major League Baseball. So population-wise, Nashville would be ideal. Location-wise, Nashville would be okay. Population-wise, Nashville's okay. If you drive through Nashville now, Carlos, there's a crane on every corner. This is Dallas 35 years ago. I'm watching the show Dallas. I'm rewatching the show, hit show Dallas from the 78 to 1991. 13-something years. When you watch the intro, you're seeing all these cranes and stuff. You're watching all these cranes. And Nashville's building like Dallas was 30-something years ago. Okay? And then there's this dumb idea or this false narrative out there. Well, but Tennessee just don't have the that's another one I hear. They don't have the hotel space. They can't support this. They can't support. Nashville had 100,000 people plus in downtown in 2019 for the NFL draft, Kathy. And it come out great. We had all the national sports media, international, all of them giving Nashville praise. This city has a professional football team. Their hockey team we had a hockey team here, the Nashville Predators, who's, by the way, in the playoffs currently. They just snapped the playoff seat or whatever. I'm not even a hockey fan. They had a little bit of a bump in the road. About 7 years ago. And to change ownership, long story short, some locals bought it, and now you can't hardly get a ticket, Pickles. You can't hardly get a ticket to the Nashville Predator. And I'm not even a hockey fan. People from the east to the west watch the Nashville Stars. Yeah. And if you put American League team, and you say, well, how would it work? Very simple. For one thing, newsflash, Houston Rockets are now in the American League. So what you would do is you would take Kansas City and put them in the, hold on, let me see how I'll put this down here. Yeah, move Kansas City to the west. Remember, there's no Oakland A's. You move Kansas City to the west where the former Oakland A's would be. And then you put the Nashville team in the central. So Nashville will essentially play Cleveland, Detroit, whoever's in the central, in the AL Central, Minnesota, all those guys. Chicago will play the, and of course, like you said, Carlos, Boston and Red Sox. Oh, by the way, here's another fun fact for you. Nashville Metropolitan has more people than Boston. Nashville Metropolitan, these are from the census, for guys. You can look it up yourself. Just Davidson County. We have more people than Boston in our city, in our metropolitan Davidson County. There's whatever, I don't know what county it is up there in Boston. I've never been to Boston. Love Boston. I mean, you know, but Nashville needs the Oakland A's. I don't know what we would call them. The Athletics, I mean, Nashville Athletics is fine. I mean, they're fine. Just change the coloring of it, maybe. Do a contest or whatnot. Okay, folks, I've got a few more here. I got a sad story, but I'm going to hold off on that. You know what? Let's see. Okay. Switching. So I think Nashville would be great. Twin Sox, Nashville Stars already set up. There you go. Yeah. Now, there are the Dallas Stars, Carlos. I don't know if that would work, my friend. But I don't want to use the word country. Musicians, that may be a little corny. But that's food for thought, though. Something to do with music, creativity, something like that. I've talked to a few. Plus, you know, Nashville's got one of the best colleges for college baseball programs in America with the Vanderbilt team right there. So anyways, switching gears here. Remember what I told you guys the other day? I said Bob Baffert is in that rarefied air where people are going to start envying him. Everything is going to be more scrutinized because he's the all-time Kentucky winningest trainer of all time now. He's a superstar. You know, he's a superstar trainer, Bob Baffert. Now, Medina failed a drug test the other day, and he's claiming foul. He's claiming this horse is everything's going to work out. He's currently suspended from Churchill Downs, but Medina will race in the Pimlico. He's just not going to be there. So I do think it's a little bit of this Deflategate stuff. But that being said, Bob Baffert, come on, man. I heard what you said on TV the other day. I'm against cancel culture. I believe in forgiveness. But this is not cancel culture, okay? Your horse failed a drug test. It's got to be investigated. Now, that being said, Justified, this guy's won 2 Triple Crowns in the past 3 years, Pickles. And that ain't been done prior to that since affirmed in 1978. So everything he does is going to be highly, highly investigated. Now, that being said, Justified, the Triple Crown winner, was some kind of plant after the investigation the horse ate that caused that spike or whatever. So after the investigation, Justified still had the Triple Crown. That horse was fine, but we're going to see how the Nashville Tunes would be great. Yeah, Pickles is saying Nashville Tunes. That would be good. But I don't know what our state bird is. Something like that. I don't know. We're kind of done. But Bafford, there is a lot going on with that. But come on. My thing is, this is not a cancel culture thing, okay? All righty then. Let's see. Going through. Okay. I'm going to talk about this. This is a sad note, but this is got to get this story out of the way. Tariq Cohen's brother died on, it's a heavy heart with the guy, for real, seriously, thoughts and prayers. This is an awful story, but I wanted to talk about it to make a bigger point. Tariq Cohen, running back, had a twin brother, Raleigh, North Carolina. His name is Terrell Cohen. Saturday night in Raleigh, North Carolina area, Terrell Cohen, the twin brother of Tariq, was supposedly leaving a bar, and he was involved in an accident. And he fled. Now, you had to read through the story because our media is so sensitive, but he had an accident, a vehicle accident, and he fled the scene of an accident. And he ran and got on he climbed what is it called? Let me make sure. Electrical fence on a subdivision or something like that. And I thought to myself, what is he thinking? It wasn't a subdivision. It was a like electrical outlet, like a not less those electrical grids that got fencing around it. So he got electrocuted and it killed the guy. And I thought to myself, we talk about Terrell Cohen's name in the news all day, and I was reading, and the guy's half brother was shot in a drive-by. And in 2019, so he's paralyzed from the waist down. This guy's biological twin brother ran through, never, folks. Those fences with those electrical grids, never jump those. I don't know what he was thinking, but, it was a really tragic accident. But my thing is, I was in 10th grade. One of my favorite teachers, I had two of them, in high school. Mr. Hankins, he was this guy was a history teacher, and Mr. Baltz. Mr. Baltz was a English teacher, and he taught Shakespeare and acting. Now, Mr. Baltz, very nicely dressed teacher, very nicely dressed. And I remember all of us asking this guy's questions. Very cool teacher, really smart. This guy was a graduate of Notre Dame, law degree, said he made enough money in law, he didn't have to really work anymore, but he wanted to teach because that's what he liked to do. And Mr. Balls told us, he says, let me tell you guys something. There's a Hunters Lane High School. This is 1998. And he says, my brother's in prison for a long time. My brother will be in prison for a long time. And our mouths dropped. You, Mr. Baltz, the most popular, well-dressed, wealthiest teacher in the school. He said, yeah. He said, everybody has people in their family that go the other way in life, And the thing is, the lesson learned, folks, is not to judge people for the mistakes of their family. And, that lesson always stayed with me. Don't hold people accountable for what their brother or sister do, So, because it's just look at it, and it just, because you could see people say they don't judge you, but they judge you. He can't help what and it's a heavy heart situation. But people do judge people by what their family does. And like Bernie Mac said, I know them, but I don't know them. But everybody does. So that was a lesson learned. And I hope that, when stuff like this happens, you'll see a player come back very strong. I think that he will be better than ever. He's coming back from injury. Now, he's going to have some competition. It's always competition. Montgomery is a great running back in Chicago. But this guy he can return punts and he can catch the ball at the backfield. So, lesson learned there. Don't, people can't help it what their family do, but not to use that against him. It's not where you start, it's where you finish, right, Pickles? I did want to know a few more NFL notes that I did not get across to. Eric Fisher, speaking of miracles, switching gears here. Eric Fisher, former Kansas City offensive tackle, recovering well from Achilles injury, Pickles, in January. He signed a 1-year deal, $9 million with Indianapolis, and I'm saying to myself, wow, keep an eye out for this in the Colts team because Ballard don't sign bad picks. So this guy will be protecting Carson Wentz. He could potentially be back in week 1. So I thought that was a pretty fascinating stat. Now, tomorrow, folks, I will be on Thursday. We're going to talk NFL schedule breakdown. I'm telling you, if Tebow turns out to be halfway decent and can play and make it to opening night, if Tebow, well, I'll tell you what, Carlos, I think he can because Ballard is a really good general manager. There's no way in Hades he signs a left tackle, and he's not going to be able to help him until the end of the season. My guess is it's going to take 12 months. Modern technology, people's bodies react differently. I think there's a chance he could play week 1. Week 1, folks. But anyways, there was an very interesting stat that Greg Uman from The Athletic, he writes for the Tampa Bay Bucks. The NFL schedules will be out Wednesday. I'm going to talk a lot Thursday, folks, about hold on for a second. Stop that one. About the NFL schedules. Greg Uman from The Athletic says, another Bucs schedule release tangent. Can we roughly anticipate when Tampa Bay's buys will be? You have to adjust for the novelty of the 17-game season. But the last 5 Super Bowl champs have had buys in week 10, 10, 9, and 11. So, like we've always decided, Pickles, like we've always discussed in the past, you want that bye week to be as late as possible, especially if you got an older quarterback and an older veteran team. In this case, the Tampa Bay Bucks have a quarterback 44 years old, Tom Brady. So my thing is, I'll say this. If they got a week 5 bye, a week 3 bye, that would be terrible. God, that would be. I hope the NFL wouldn't do that. But if they got a bye week and like week 5, 6, something like that could be plausible. That could be possible. I don't think they'll get back to the Super Bowl. If they got another week 10 bye, but another week 11 bye with the 17, they've got a clean shot to get back there. Now, what I said after they got hammered, we saw that on SportsScope, Kathy, that I didn't think that they was going to. I think they'll have a really good start to the season. I thought 7-1, 8-0, something like that. And I think they'll fall off as the season goes along. That could still be possible, but I did not think when they're celebrating the Super Bowl win that they would bring all 22 starters back and Antonio Brown. But if they hit a slump in this season, if Brady gets hurt in the middle of the season, guys like Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown, they're not good guys to be when times get tough. They're not the kind of guys you want on your team, Pickles, when times get tough. I think the defense will be on point and be able to carry this team for a while. They've signed Cal Trask. They drafted him. They brought back, they signed Blaine Gabbert. I think they re-signed Blaine Gabbert to back up Brady. But I think their defense will carry them for a while. Atlanta will be better, but Atlanta's got too many holes on defense. I think a healthy Ram team could beat them, but the Rams have lost some players too. They lost the center. They lost the guys on the secondary, and they're very heavily leaning on Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald goes down, they'll fold like a cheap suit defensively. We saw what happened against the Packers last year when Donald went down. Well, they dominated the line of scrimmage against Seattle in the playoff game. They won that, but he was standing on the sideline a good portion of the Green Bay game, and Green Bay was just manhandling them. Seattle will be better this year. They will be better. Now, in the AFC, on paper, Cleveland could beat them because they've improved everywhere. Buffalo could beat them. Buffalo picked up some pass rushers in the draft and the free agency. Emmanuel Sanders, they can beat them. So this is going to be really big to discuss. I would love to see Jacksonville open up at home in a primetime game, especially if you've got Lawrence, of course, James Robertson. You've got Travis Etienne. You've got Tebow playing the tight end there. DJ Shark. This team in Jacksonville, they are going to be one of these half-full stadiums, 3/4 to full max to the rafters, to a standing room on, because that's a college football town, really. And then, you got Jacksonville native there. You've got Florida legend in Urban Meyer. You've got an SEC or a Southern Star there, not an SEC guy. Could have been an SEC guy. Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville is going to be interesting. If I'm the powers to be, I put Jackson. Yes, I said it. I would put Jacksonville in a primetime game just for that sake, and I'll put them in Jacksonville against hopefully not Tennessee, maybe a Colts team, maybe a 49er team, somebody like that. Somebody with a bad defense that can go, but maybe a Green Bay team if Rodgers stays. But I'm telling you, Bucks are going to be in good shape. My guess is before the schedule comes out, they are probably 14-3, 15-2 good right now. But I can see them being more like remember we got 17 games. So maybe 11-6, something like that. But I don't know if they're going to lose 6 games down the stretch. Probably more like a 12-5, maybe something of that nature. Or you got 13-4. Yeah, 13-3, 13-4. And they very well may rest Brady down the stretch. I forgot about this. I want to add this, folks, that the Tampa Bay Bucks, that the NFL next year, like this past year, they have there's only one team with the bye week in each league. So Brady's going to push these guys to get that 1 seed, because the 2 seed you still got to play. I don't know if there's another team that could get a 1 seed. Not unless, again, the Rams get lucky with their health. But Green Bay is going the other way. It's not going to be Atlanta. It's not going to be Dallas, even though I like what they did. It's not going to be anybody, likely not, in the NFC East. Could it be the 49ers? I think Garoppolo is going to play lights out, possibly MVP level. Same thing with Wilson. That's the problem, though. I think they're going to cannibalize themselves in the West. So it looks like it's probably clear selling NFC, Carlos, for NFC. No, you can laugh at the Niners, man. I know how good they can be. They're going to be good. I think Bosa and everybody will be back. No, one more year with Brandon Ayuk. You got Tebow Samuel. Cleveland. All their Cleveland's holes got fixed. I think they're going to win the AFC North. They got a chance to win it. They've got offensive line. Cleveland got defensive line. Only thing they need is a quarterback that's clear head, in shape, and focused, and not trying to do too much on the game. They're going to have Beckham back. If they play within themselves, they can win. They can win a lot of games. Cleveland could rock this year. That is very true, Pickles. Very true. Let me put that on there. Yeah, Cleveland may win it all if they make the playoffs. Yeah, Carlos, you still got that Kansas City game stuck in your head. They've gotten better since then. Remember, they'll have Beckham back next year. So, anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I knew I'd have a long show, an hour and 1 minute coming in. I will be back on Thursday. Again, I've got this thing recorded tomorrow. I'm going to make a lot of notes, talk scheduling. Not going to make predictions. I'll give you a generalized where I stand. I don't make predictions until we get past training camp because we've got injuries in training camp. They're like that every year. I want to see who's doing what and what I'm reading about where a team's going. But I will be able to see who's got the most difficult schedule according to the year prior, who's got the easiest according to the year prior. Those in the past, this is my 4-year anniversary this month of Sports Scope. I want to thank you again, Kathy, for contributing to the program. But that really lays hand. Nobody said that Pittsburgh will win the AFC North last year, except me, because I'm the best. Nobody did. I said it. Everybody else was on Baltimore's bandwagon. I was not one of those people. So, anyways, Thursday around 9 p.m. Central Time, give or take 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I'd like to get it done as soon as possible and get on here. So, we will be talking NFL schedule. That'll be the main thing Thursday. And not unless the trades be worked in place with Green Bay. But anyways, folks, I'll be back Thursday. We'll talk it here on Sports Scope. Have a good one.